Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I am here to bear witness regarding Rings of Power, Episode 6. Now, you may wonder, what happened to my reviews of Episodes 4 and 5? I didn't formally review Episodes 4 or 5 because absolutely nothing happened in those episodes. Just a load of boring crap, pointless filler, lousy effects, and terrible writing that made me dizzy with anger and extreme boredom. So how could I possibly do any kind of review of something that is essentially nothing? But hey, you want it? Here's my review of Rings of Power Episodes 4 and 5. They were complete wastes of time. I didn't even know what to say about them when I discussed them on Pop Culture Breakdown. There was nothing to say. You could sum up those episodes by yawning deeply and then spitting upon the ground with your middle finger raised. I figured I was done reviewing this insultingly insipid insult to Tolkien fans until I saw Episode 6. So why am I reviewing Episode 6 now? Does it mean that Episode 6 is suddenly better? That they finally get their shit together for Episode 6? Hell no! The only reason I'm reviewing this episode is finally in Episode 6, something happens. Not only does something happen, but there's actually a big battle or two. It's an action-oriented episode of Rings of Power. Presumably this is Rings of Power at its best, right? Where finally something happens, battles and violence and flames and explosions. So I figured, okay, fair enough. Let's review Rings of Power at its best. So what if the first 5+ hours of this garbage was slower than Timmy after getting kicked in the head when he tried to milk a mule? Maybe it can find redemption in a rousing battle scene as orcs do their best to destroy the humans of the Southlands led by Adar in quest of Sauron's magic sword Hilt O Evil. So, was it better, my friends? Was it a good episode finally? Let's take a look, shall we? Spoiler, it was a pile of shit. The only question is, how shitty was that pile and why? Well, let's look at the thing, shall we? So Adar makes a very typical and cliched rallying the troops speech, getting the orcs worked up about taking the tower where the humans from Southland are sheltering. They walk up to the tower, torches raised. They come to the tower doors, which are open. They step inside, and it's deserted. Yep, turns out the tower is empty. Everyone somehow managed to mysteriously sneak out of the tower unseen except for Arondir, the elf who remained behind. He shoots a few orcs then, and this part is just awful. Arondir triggers a trap with a flaming arrow that makes the whole tower come down on top of the orcs. One flaming arrow hits one strap that is now holding the tower together, and that strap breaks and the tower basically drops on the orcs.
What the hell? Instead of using the tower as it was designed to be used to repel a siege by aggressive superior forces, Arondir what? Rigs the whole structure to collapse? Like loosening all the rocks himself and strapping it with all these straps so that one arrow blow will bring the whole thing down? Arondir basically turns the whole fortress into a Wile E. Coyote Acme trap?
Yep.
Does it work?
No. Yeah, right. In the limited time the human villagers had, they were not only able to evacuate the tower en masse without being detected, they were also able to strategically weaken the tower, stone by stone, just enough that a few straps were holding it together. And did this complete destruction of their fortress, turning a defensive keep into a trap, pay off and kill all the orcs? Nah, it doesn't do a whole lot to the orcs, as we'll see in a minute. But before we get back to the action, and I put that in quotes, we have to have some boring filler. So we cut back to the boats headed for Middle-earth, and Galadriel has a quiet talk with Isildur as the sun rises placidly over the Sea of Boredom. Then Elendil, Isildur's dad, comes and tags Isildur, and takes his place in the boring conversation as he also talks about the sunrise with Galadriel and throws in some stuff about his dead wife for good measure. So at 12 minutes in, the old familiar feeling of boredom is starting to fall.
I suspect Rings of Power is entertainment intended for glaciers. I'm sure it moves at a terrific breakneck pace in terms of geological time. I imagine a redwood would be thrilled watching this show. But for human beings with roughly 80-year lifespans, each episode feels like a decade, and Rings of Power is proof positive that boredom can indeed warp time.
I think that's a very scientific proof, Skull of Calderon. So as it turns out, destroying their own fortress to smush a few orcs was only part of their cunning plan. We cut to Arondir and Bronwyn, who are now in a village with the rest of the Southlanders, rigging up traps and a strategy for ambushing the orcs. See, the humans are laying a trap. Oh yeah, great trap, people. Yeah, let's trash our stone fortress to smush a few orcs and then make our stand in a village made of thatch and twigs. Oh, that's brilliant leadership, Bronwyn. You're the bestest ever! Arondir and Bronwyn then have a conversation that would bore a Galapagos tortoise to death. One of them asks, "Are you ready?" And the other says, "No." Verbatim dialogue, gang. Bucking Rings of Power could put a rock to sleep. This must have been written by Zen masters who believe there is action in non-action. Cut to night, as Arondir sees torches approaching. The orcs were largely unsmushed, it seems, by the trap and are now advancing on the humans. So I guess maybe destroying the tower to crush the orcs didn't really work out all that well. Nice move, trashing your stone fortress and running away to the safety of a highly flammable village to fight orcs who are carrying torches. And who is it among the humans that first engages the orcs? Two women, one of whom goes whee and stabs the orc in the foot with a scythe. Cause you know, stabbing in the foot is a fatal blow. Nice one, hun. She gets killed for her trouble. And then of course Bronwyn beheads the orc with her scythe, and then they spring the trap. Bronwyn lights a wagon on fire and another wagon gets on fire, and that fire kinda sorta surrounds the orcs, much to their chagrin. But the fire thing is pointless, like destroying the keep, as somehow the director saves the orcs by just cutting away from the fire and ignoring it. Whew. For a minute I thought the orcs might have been inconvenienced by that fire, but they weren't. The orcs approach a house and and then suddenly the humans just attack the orcs with knives and sticks and whatnot. So what was the point of destroying your keep and burning your village if none of those things was actually going to finish off the orcs and you were just going to fight the orcs mano a mano anyway? I mean, holy shit! Just running at the orcs to fight them hand to hand with sticks and knives, unarmored. You could have done that much better in the tower, which was designed to deal with sieges. So all of this build-up is revealed to be exactly what the entire series is: pointless, meaningless, insulting filler. But the episode does have at least a few laughs in it. I laughed at Arondir getting knocked around by a big orc in that battle, and when Arondir gets hit, he glides through the air on wires. Note to self, Doomcock, if you ever have to fight orcs, don't let anyone strap wires on you ahead of time. That just means you'll be flying awkwardly through the air each time one punches you, like Peterless Pan.
Peterless Pan?
Yes, Harvey, you heard me right. This show has no dick. So get this, gang. I'm hoping the orc will kill Arondir, will kill them all and put them out of our misery. Now, the orc got stabbed in the eye by Arondir. The orc has Arondir pinned down. He pulls the knife out of his own eye, and as he's bleeding from his ruptured eye socket all over Arondir, about to stab him in the eye with his own blade, even though I knew it was coming a mile away, I burst into laughter as Bronwyn saved Arondir. Yep, the orc Slay Queen herself has to rescue Arondir by stabbing the orc from behind. And just like that, magically, with Bronwyn stabbing that one orc, suddenly the whole so-called battle is over. It's like once the bestest girl power leader ever gets an orc scalp, that's it for the battle. Somehow a lot of unarmored, non-warrior humans, poorly armed men, women, and children manage to defeat these orcs that are armored. Haha, well, it turns out only some of them were orcs. As they examined the bodies by lifting their armored visors, turns out it was actually a bunch of humans they fought with a sprinkling of orcs for good measure. Yawn. So, turns out this is the battle of the false starts. We think we're about to get a big battle when the orcs come to the tower, but it's just a big booby trap. Then we think, well, okay, here's the big battle with the orcs, but it was just a few orcs and a bunch of disguised humans. Though why the disguised humans fought against the undisguised humans is never really explained. So that was another false start. Now comes the really real battle against the orcs. Oh, they do their damnedest to string this battle out for the entire episode, people. The humans think they've won, then arrows start flying as the really real, serious orc army advances. Arondir yells for everyone to retreat to a big warehouse that he calls the Keep for some reason. Oh God, this is crap. This is too much suck to be encapsulated in one review. And so what I'm gonna do is cut it off here, and we will continue to dissect this terrible, terrible episode of Rings of Power in a future video. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, do not waste your time watching Rings of Power. And as always, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.